Hi, everyone, and welcome to Success Chats. I'm Sophia, and here we talk about how to create success in your life, grow, and become the absolute best version of yourself. So, thank you so much for being here. And I want to start this episode also by just thanking everyone in general who's listening. You have no idea how much it means to me, and just the fact that I've had people support me from the beginning. You have no idea how much it means to me, and I see you. And honestly, if anyone wants to ever send me a DM on Instagram, comment on the podcast, anything, or just reach out in general, please feel free to do so. I created this, number one, because I really wanted to help people. And number two, because I wanted to create a community of like minded people. So that's what I want. I want to interact with people. So feel free to do that. And let's get into today's episode. Today, I want to talk about setbacks. We all experience setbacks in life, whether that be in our career, relationships, or just life in general. And oftentimes, we can see a setback as a roadblock or a failure. But what if I told you that a setback can actually be the catalyst that can move you forward to new heights in your life? Think about it. We all go through setbacks, right? Life just isn't a straight line. And maybe some of us even experience more than others. But let me tell you that this is shaping you to become the absolute best version of yourself. The most successful people in the world have experienced some of the most difficult setbacks because they had to in order to shape them into the people who they were meant to become. Take, for example, Oprah. She had a very traumatic childhood and went through so much. And she used all of that as fuel to create one of the most successful talk shows and to help people and to guide people. That's one example. Another example is Thomas Edison. When he was creating the light bulb, he failed so many times, hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of times. And he finally created one of the best inventions known to man. But it doesn't mean that he didn't fail so many times to get there. And that goes with everything. And you see these people, you see maybe on social media, they're living such a luxurious, lavish life. And while some of that is fake, some of it's real. And it's because they achieved a certain level of success in their life, but you didn't see what it took to get there and how many times they failed and what they had to learn from that. So today I want to talk about how to really shift your perspective and let these setbacks fuel you to the ultimate success in your life. I was actually reading a book. It's one of my favorite books, and I read it very slowly because I'm almost finished with it and I don't want it to end. I really like it. It's called Dare to Be Yourself by Alan Cohen. And there was a part of the book where it talked about, because I love books where it's telling you how to shift your mindset, because that's really important in life in order to get to the next level of our life. So it said, when you think of something as a problem is such a negative word, right? And it kind of stresses you out when you're like, oh, I have to go through like this problem in whatever situation it may be. Just the word problem sounds really negative. So the book said, instead of referring to a problem as a problem, refer to it as a project, because project sounds a bit more positive and you're going to get through a project. Like, it's kind of like, oh, you have to figure it out. You have to problem solve. So anytime you have a problem in your life or a setback, rephrase your thinking and start thinking of it as a project, because you're going to get through it. You just have to figure out how. And once you're done with that project, you feel so good. You accomplished it. You learned so much from it. And the same goes with a setback or a problem in your life. So it's all about rephrasing the situation and reprogramming your mind in order to effectively get through that. I like to think of life in a sense as a game, because think about it. If you're thinking of life as a game, There's different levels. Games have different levels, right? And you can't stay on level 1 forever. Level 1 has its own set of challenges or projects that you have to get through. And eventually, you make it to level 2, and level 2 has its own set of setbacks or projects that you have to get through, and level 3 and level 4 and so on. So anytime you're leveling up in your life, you're going to have a new set of things that you have to go through, and that's just a part of life. So you might as well learn to embrace it and know that you're always able to get through it. You do every time, right? And every time you're going through something, you might not understand in the moment why you're going through it, but then when you look back and it's a few months later or a year later, you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I understand now exactly why I went through that. And I'm so grateful that I did because it taught me X, Y, and Z. So let's start by talking about setbacks in your career. We've all experienced them, whether it be you not getting the promotion you wanted, a presentation didn't go exactly as you planned, you interviewed for a job that you just didn't get. It's happened to all of us. And it can suck, honestly. So, how do we combat this? How do we get through it? The answer is changing your perspective and also understanding that you can use this as reinvention. This is an opportunity to reinvent yourself in your career and really learn from the situation. Let me give you a specific example for myself. I work in business, particularly marketing. And when I first started out, I worked for a great company and I worked there around 5 years. And at this point, I knew I was ready for a management level position. And I did want to experience working for a new company. So I started interviewing at different places. This was a while ago, in my early 20s. I started interviewing at different places. And in the beginning of my interview process, I was told no a lot. We're not going to go with you, or just not hearing back from employers. And I didn't know what I was doing wrong because I felt like I was doing everything right and I had the skill sets that they were looking for. I met the job requirements, so why was I not getting the job? Then instead of having this victim mentality, I thought to myself, you know what? Let me take a step back and understand why I am being told no time after time again. So I got a bunch of different mentors, people who I looked up to who were very high up in companies who, you know, were much older than me, and they can give me advice on things that I might not be aware of. And it's always just good to have alternative perspectives other than your own, right? So I met with these mentors, and I remember this one lady said, you know, talk to me like you're interviewing. I want to kind of analyze you and see what I can uncover. So I did, and I spoke to her like I was in an interview. And she said to me, you do a great job and you have all the skill sets and you're presenting yourself very well. She said, but I want to give you some tips. She said, because of the way you look, a lot of people are going to view you as a cute little girl. And it can be tough sometimes for women in business to be taken seriously. She said, I had this issue and I can give you some tips that helped me. She said, when you're talking to men, I want you to lower your voice and I want you to talk slower in the interview. And she said, also, I want you to look them in the eye. And I swear, these tips I brought to my next interview, and I heard back from them, and they wanted they sent me an offer. So I used these tips and I started getting offer after offer just from meeting with these mentors and learning these little tips. Like what that lady said to me was so helpful. And although in the beginning of my interview process, I could have said, oh, no one wants me. This sucks. I don't want to continue. But no, I took that as reinvention. I said, you know what? What can I do to improve? What am I doing? What am I doing that might be wrong? and I learned and I grew. And I also took that time to work on my resume and make it the best I could possibly make it so that I had other companies reaching out to me and were more impressed with my skill sets. So it's all about shifting your perspective and understanding that you might be having this setback because there's more that you can learn, you can grow, you can become better. And now that I had reinvented myself, so to speak, I was getting offers from really amazing companies because I was presenting myself in a way that was more effective than I was before. And eventually, I heard back from multiple companies, and multiple companies wanted to hire me, and I was really proud of myself. Eventually, I became so confident with this idea of letting my setbacks fuel me and seeing them as opportunities. And I want to give you an example of how good I became at this and how you can do it more so on the spot in situations where you don't get what you want right away, but you can alter that sometimes to get exactly what you want in that moment. I'm very happy with the job I have now. And during the interview process, I knew pretty quickly that this was a job that I really wanted. I had around 3 different interviews for this job, and that's how it tends to be because the higher the role, the more interviews you have. So some companies even have you interview 4 to 5 times with all different people just to make sure that you're the right fit. So I had 3 interviews, and my first 2 interviews went really well. They really liked me. I felt so confident, and they were all over video call, which is a little bit difficult to see if you're getting the right response from the person, but I felt good about it. So I had my first 2 interviews, and I was now on to my third. My third interview, I presented myself well, I thought. I had told them all about my skills. I had answered the questions in a very professional manner, and I thought I did a really good job. At the end of the interview, I said to the interviewer, "Is there anything else you need to know from me so that I can move on to the next round of interviews?" And he looked at me and he said, "I just don't think you're the right fit." And although in this moment I was absolutely crushed, I was crushed. I wanted this job so bad. There was so much running through my head, but I kept my composure and I said, "I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I am the right fit." And I listed all the reasons why I thought I was the exact perfect fit for this job. And after I did that, he looked at me and he said, "Okay, your next step is meeting with HR." So I knew that I had got the job. And I was so proud of myself that in the moment, I was able to keep my composure and change his perspective. And it worked because I believed in myself. I didn't see this as a setback, I saw it as an opportunity. So it's literally just about shifting your perspective because if I didn't respond in that way, the situation could have gone so much differently. After he said that, I could have just said, "Oh, okay, thank you for your time," and closed out the interview. But I didn't do that. I said, "No, I'm going to leave this knowing that I fought for this role and I did everything I could have done to show this person that I was a perfect fit." And I did that. And it was something it's something I'm really proud of myself for doing. And I think it's a great example of how oftentimes we experience things that are unexpected, these setbacks or these problems. But if we shift our perspective as seeing them as challenges that we can overcome or opportunities for growth, it can ultimately lead us to success. It's like, I'm new to this podcasting. It is hard to talk for this long, let me tell you. Next, I want to talk about setbacks in relationships. whether that be intimate relationships, friendships, or family, those setbacks can sometimes hurt the most. I understand this completely. I had broken off an 8-year relationship, and before that, I broke off a 3-year relationship. So I know exactly how much it hurts, even if you're the one leaving the situation, because either way, you were with that person for so long, and it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna feel like a setback. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I stayed longer than I probably should have because I didn't want to experience the hurt of having that quote unquote setback of being single. And I kind of saw it at times as a negative thing because I enjoyed being in a relationship. But honestly, being single is such an amazing time for growth. It is a setback that can really help you learn about yourself, heal, become the best version of yourself for you and for your future person. It can help you understand on a deeper level the exact qualities that you're looking for in someone else, what complements you. When I first became single, because like I said, I was with someone for 8 years, I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that I really wanted to take this as an opportunity for growth for myself and really like go on dinner dates and understand what I liked. Because I don't think I had like ever really been single as an adult because I was like in a relationship for so long. So honestly, it has been such a blessing. And I highly recommend, if you just got out of a relationship, taking that time for yourself, because people who you see who are jumping from a relationship to the next, they're settling because it's actually impossible to find the right match right away. So they're just finding, who's ever there. And I could have done that, but it's not something I want to do. I want to find the right person. I want to find the right match, and it's so much better to be that healed version of yourself for someone and be ready to date them. Because if you're going from one relationship to the next, you're not healing. You're not taking that time for yourself to feel those emotions properly and show up as the best version for that person. When I first became single, I started traveling a lot. I went to numerous countries. I learned so much. I dated a lot. I went on so many different dinner dates, and I met a lot of amazing men, and I was able to see, oh my gosh, like these men have so many great qualities that I didn't even know existed. I started forming connections that I didn't even know I could, and I learned so much, and I learned my quote unquote type, and I was like, because it was interesting. I never really thought about it. Like, I knew what, I guess, like what my type was like physically and what I was attracted to, but I didn't know like on a deeper level what would draw me to men. And I also learned that it takes a lot for me to really like someone. So I've been single for around a year and a half, and I've only genuinely like really liked maybe like two, maybe three is like pushing it, maybe like 2 to 3 people. I had really been like, oh, I would date him. Like, yeah, I like him. We have such a strong connection. And it's so funny because like if I'm being real with myself, they all have similar things in common. So my family would like make jokes about it because like they're all like the same in certain ways, and like they all like own some type of company, like are doing something entrepreneurial. They're all like very successful in their lives and very ambitious, and they're all very cultured. They either speak another language or multiple languages, and some of them, their parents came here from another country or they came here from another country when they were younger. So they're very cultured, and I feel like that was why I connected with them, because I loved that. Like, I feel like if I just dated someone from Long Island, then I'm not it just seems like they're a little bit more closed-minded sometimes, but it was really nice to speak to people who just had unique perspectives and I could learn from them, and I felt like it was a lot of fun. And like obviously like there's other things, like they had like great senses of humor, and I don't know, like we just like connected overall. But it was kind of funny like seeing that I guess I did have a type, but I would have never known that if I didn't take the time to date and understand exactly what I was drawn to and what I liked. And it doesn't mean I'm like not open to like, other guys, but and maybe I need to be, and maybe that's why it hasn't worked out, because I keep getting like pulled to these type of men. And I've been very open. Like I'll go on dates with guys that I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like him, but I'll be open and I'll go out with him just to see. And I'm usually right, and I don't like them, but it's all about like putting yourself out there because you never know where it could lead. I would also say I was more drawn to the older men, which I'm like still open to younger. I just feel like there's like a certain maturity or experience that just like an older guy has that I'm more drawn to. And I would honestly say being single for uh, the time that I have, I've learned more than I've learned in like 5 years in this like 1.5 years. And it's because I was continuously like putting myself out there, trying new hobbies, trying new things. And I like the universe rewarded me so much. And it doesn't mean that it wasn't hard. It doesn't mean that I didn't experience even more setbacks when I was single and I had to learn how to navigate things. I had to learn how to be so comfortable with being alone and not just like getting in a relationship because I didn't want to be alone. I had to learn how to combat that. And once you get out on the other end and you're able to combat that setback, you feel so good. I can tell you, I'm the most peaceful I've ever felt in my life. And it's because I got through that hard time. I did it. And it was so worth it in the end. Sometimes we also experience setbacks in friendships. And I think this is a good opportunity to learn how to communicate differently. I think it helps you understand the way different people think, because oftentimes in friendships, you might disagree on things, and that's okay. And sometimes you can work it out and communicate like adults. And other times you realize that you guys are growing differently, and that's okay too. And sometimes you can't be friends with someone forever. And it's because you're growing and evolving, and that's beautiful. And you're going to meet new friends along the way. So don't feel bad, especially in your adulthood, when friends drop off or you have to leave them, because it means that you're elevating and you're going to meet new amazing people in your journey. So understand that. For setbacks with your family, family is there forever. And again, I would say this is an opportunity to learn how to communicate differently and to be more open to listening to what the other person is thinking, or how to overcome the situation in a different way, giving yourself more time to reflect. I would also say, though, something I've learned with like setbacks with family and even friends sometimes, or I guess it could apply to anything, even a boyfriend, whatever, is learning how to create boundaries for yourself. So sometimes you experience setbacks, and I think it's really important not to let someone feel comfortable with disrespecting you. The moment you sense disrespect, I would distance myself and I would set boundaries, because it's never okay for someone to treat you with disrespect. So I would say it's situational, and it depends exactly what they did, and maybe you need more time to reflect, and maybe you put up some boundaries, or maybe you just need to cut them off because what transpired is really disrespectful and you can't see a way to get out of it, and you think they would just continuously do it again. So I think it's okay to put up boundaries, or just know what's good for yourself and understand that you shouldn't be dealing with any type of disrespect, and it's okay to put up boundaries and let people know, that wasn't okay, or this is kind of where I draw the line, and be okay with that. And remember that you are the main character of your life. You set your rules, you set your boundaries. Treat yourself like the main character because this is your life. And at the end of the day, you have control over who's in it and who's not in it and what you do. So treat yourself like that and understand that you deserve the absolute best. So don't settle for anything less. Lastly, I want to talk about setbacks in life in general. And specifically, maybe you've experienced some traumas as a child or in your life. And I think it's sometimes hard to overcome that and see them as a positive. Sorry, I'm getting a little congested as this podcast is going on. So I don't know if my voice is sounding a little funny now. So the next time you find yourself in a setback, instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? I want you to take a deep breath and think to yourself, how can I use this as an opportunity for growth? What can I learn from this? How can I use it to get me to that next level? Change your mindset. I want you to embrace the power of persistence. Keep going. Don't let your setbacks define you. It's okay to feel pain sometimes, and it's okay to be upset, but don't sit there. I think of a phoenix rising from the ashes. Let it move you forward in life. It's okay to feel sad, but get back up and try again because it's not over. And everything you've overcame in life, it made you who you are. And each time you become a better version of yourself. I want to leave you with this. Setbacks are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of your next chapter. So whenever life knocks you down, understand that there is something so much greater ahead, and it's so exciting to see what that is. So don't just survive your setbacks. Let them fuel you, drive you, and become the best version of yourself and create the life that you were meant to receive. So with that being said, I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. And stay tuned for the next episode. Follow me and send me a DM if you want. I'm so open and I appreciate you guys so much. So thank you. Bye.